Hey guys! So, I recently got done reading the book Lords of the Sith, a canon novel written by Paul S Kemp, and I enjoyed it immensely. In this book, Darth Vader and Darth Sidious travel together to the planet Ryloth, the home planet of the Twi'lek species, in order to snuff out the Free Ryloth movement and send a message to any other aspiring movements wishing to rebel against the Empire. However, while they travel aboard the Star Destroyer known as the Perilous, the growing Free Ryloth movement launches a successful surprise attack against them, actually managing to destroy the Perilous, and Vader and Sidious escape from the Star Destroyer mere minutes before its annihilation, crash landing upon Ryloth in another vessel which is also attacked and damaged. One of the three main narratives of this story has us following Cham Syndulla, the leader of the Free Ryloth movement, along with the most trusted members of his crew as they undertake the extremely ambitious mission of assassinating Darth Vader and Darth Sidious. Among the members of this elite crew is a female Twi'lek known as Isval, an individual who displayed exceptional strength and courage throughout the course of this book, and she's the subject of today's video, as I believe her story deserves to be told. Isval is a female Twi'lek born and raised on the planet Ryloth, the native planet for the Twi'lek species. Physically, she's a blue Twi'lek who often keeps her teeth sharpened to a point, a custom generally practiced only by male Twi'leks. She was one of the highest-ranking members of the Free Ryloth movement, serving as a lieutenant under the movement's leader, Cham Syndulla, with whom she also shared an extremely close, loyal friendship and a secret love which she confessed to in her final moments. For context, the Free Ryloth movement was an organized, coordinated resistance effort intended to oppose the Galactic Empire. The movement gained considerable resources and organization over time, becoming replete with bases, weapons, and secret informants, and even managing to destroy the Star Destroyer known as the Perilous in a bold attempt to assassinate Darth Vader and Darth Sidious themselves as they were aboard the aircraft. Though they ultimately failed with regard to this assassination attempt, the destruction of this Star Destroyer alone was still a uniquely impressive achievement for this time period, as the rebellion which ultimately defeated the Empire was still years away from becoming a coherent organization.
Enlist the help of the freedom fighters, led by Cham Syndulla. His fight against the droids has made him a symbol of freedom for the people.
Cham Syndulla was a radical before the war. He is very unpredictable.
Let's give an overview of Isval's personal history. I'm going to be pulling this information from the canon book Lords of the Sith by Paul S Kemp. Though an exact birth year was not provided for Isval, it's known that she grew up during the era of the Galactic Empire. The earliest years of her life were fraught with difficulty. Like many Twi'lek females, she found herself in the bondage of sexual servitude, being forced to work as an escort. Most of this miserable time was spent in a place known as the Octagon, one of the main plazas in the town of Lesu on Ryloth. The Octagon was essentially a hellhole defined by sin, the type of place where hedonistic pursuits, such as substance abuse and gambling, were the sole pursuits of most visitors. This spot sported enough cantinas, illicit drugs, especially spice, and working girls to make Jabba himself proud. Since the Empire had a large military presence on Ryloth, the Octagon was a magnet for the most degenerate of Imperial soldiers, the type who'd had no qualms with exploiting other beings for cheap pleasure and excitement. As such, these early life experiences of sexual abuse and degradation were the main catalysts which sparked Isval's lifelong seething hatred for Imperials. The psychological damage inflicted upon her by these experiences were described as scars she'd always carry on her soul, scars she would pick open whenever she wished to sharpen the edges of her anger. It was this anger which ultimately led to her strangling an Imperial officer right before escaping the Octagon and joining up with the Free Ryloth movement. Her wellspring of anger provided her with a perpetual desire for vengeance against the Empire, a wellspring which served her well as she transformed herself into a distinguished warrior and leader among the movement. In fact, many male Twi'lek warriors deeply respected and even feared her. She rose through the ranks until she was a trusted lieutenant working directly under the famed and admired Cham Syndulla. As a lieutenant serving under Cham Syndulla in the Free Ryloth movement, she played one of the most important roles in the ambitious plot to destroy the Star Destroyer with Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine aboard. This plot, as I mentioned previously, is the premise of the Lords of the Sith book from which I'm deriving this information. Although the movement failed to kill Vader or Palpatine, they did manage to bring down the Perilous. She, along with groups of other Twi'lek warriors, had managed to infiltrate the ship and rig the ship's hyperdrive to explode. During this battle, she listened via a comm device as Vader slaughtered friends and fellow soldiers of hers. The rage this inspired within her actually led to her having a direct confrontation with Darth Vader himself as they were evacuating the Perilous. During this confrontation, Vader ran at her, deflecting every blaster bolt she shot at him. Though she failed to kill him, Isval fearlessly stared him down and continuously tried to kill him, even as she watched him perform physical feats that, as Cham put it, no mortal being should be able to perform. She would have died facing him at this time if it wasn't for the intervention of a crew member. After the Perilous exploded, and a brief attempt by the Twi'leks to destroy the vessel carrying Vader and Palpatine failed, the two Sith Lords touched down on Ryloth. Cham and his soldiers managed to calculate the approximate area in which Vader and the Emperor's emergency vessel crash-landed on the planet, which turned out to be an area within the planet's equatorial forests. These forests were perhaps the most dangerous undeveloped areas on Ryloth, as they were home to the planet's most dangerous predators, such as the Gutkers and the Lilacs. Despite losing many comrades in a short time and being aware of the incredible danger the forest posed to them, Isval and surviving comrades courageously pushed forward with their efforts to track Vader and Palpatine. Soon after touching down and entering the forest on foot, they were pursued by a pack of Gutkers, the second most dangerous predator on Ryloth, behind only the Lilac. The Gutkers eliminated 4 of the remaining crew members, providing a very close call for the rest of them. However, they still continued with their pursuit. As the hunt progressed, the crew began encountering Lilac corpses. Upon sighting the first few of these corpses, they initially assumed that these Lilacs were simply killed in some sort of intraspecies dominance struggle. However, as the corpses progressively began littering the path they were following by the dozens, they took a closer look at the bodies of these dead Lilacs and realized that their fatal wounds appeared to have been caused by man-made weapons. This was a defining moment in the hunt, as only now did the true power of Vader even begin to dawn upon the crew members. This is reflected on page 277, wherein crew member Goal remarks that these are apex predators. We fortify our cities out of fear of facing a handful of these. Despite this terrifying revelation regarding the extent of Vader's power, Isval and company pressed on. They eventually tracked Vader and Palpatine to a small, isolated village of Twi'leks who were technologically primitive and had very little knowledge of or contact with the outside world, not even recognizing Vader or Palpatine for who they were. The remaining members of the Twi'lek crew then attempted to launch one last attack on the pair of Sith Lords. However, they were overwhelmed by Vader and some stormtroopers. Recognizing their imminent defeat, Isval decided to sacrifice herself so that Cham and a few others may escape. Obviously, Cham protested at this notion, but Gol, the strongest and largest of the Twi'lek crew members, dragged him away, kicking and screaming as Darth Vader approached her, rather than the remaining crew members. After being choked unconscious by Vader's force choke, Isval woke up with her hands restrained behind her back, facing the Emperor, and remained defiant until the very end, when Vader decapitated her with his lightsaber. Essentially, the story of Isval is one of strength and bravery, loyalty and selflessness. In fact, she encapsulated these traits in spades. Overcoming the odds was a prevailing theme of her life, beginning with her escape from her young life of sexual exploitation and concluding with her successful distraction of Darth Vader to allow her friends to escape. She rose quickly in the ranks of the Free Ryloth movement, becoming extremely respected and even sometimes feared by those who fought alongside her, a group comprised mainly of male Twi'lek warriors. She also possessed a noble desire to help other young Twi'lek girls escape the bondage of sexual servitude, even though part of her motivation stemmed from a desire for revenge against the male Imperial soldiers who were all too happy to partake in the exploitation of these girls. An exceptionally minute number of beings can brag about fearlessly facing down Darth Vader, let alone actually surviving such an encounter. Isval was an endlessly loyal, passionate, fierce warrior and friend, and thus she is entirely deserving of the recognition she's receiving in this video. Thank you for watching this video of mine. I enjoyed this book immensely, and I really hope some of you will give it a chance yourselves. Until next time.